Okay, so hello everyone. This is Michelle Oliver, and I am so happy to welcome Carol McCowan from Raise Global. She is actually the founder and CEO of Raise Global, and she's here today to share a little bit about that company, but even more so about a new division that has just launched that is really meeting some very pertinent needs in the marketplace today. So Carol, I'm so happy to have you here, and I really appreciate you taking the time to be here.
I am excited to be here because I'm so excited about what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Yeah, it's always about the why we're doing it. And that seems to be what has really driven you from the very beginning with your initial company, Raise Global. So, can you tell us just the edited version? Like, what is Raise Global and what is the why behind that?
Well, I think I'll start with the why. I've had an opportunity through other businesses to travel the globe, and I would see places where people did not have proper food or water. And I always wondered why, if big corporations knew how to grow food or how to sell water and be profitable, why is it that would entire communities might not have proper nutrition and water to drink? And so, just through a series of dreams, I sort of came up with a vision for Raise Global, in that I was going to work with innovators from around the world to find solutions in not only food and water, but health, energy, and housing. Things that mean something no matter what community you live in the world. And that's what Raise Global is all about, is bringing that innovation to the marketplace, creating a profitable venture out of it, and then out of our profits being able to give back to those other communities that are underserved yet deserve to have just basic things that God meant for them to have.
Wow, this is definitely a purpose-driven business with a very powerful vision. And we could probably talk for hours about Raise Global, but we're really here today to learn about something that's grown out of that, which is PROTECTX International. So can you share a little bit about what that is and how this developed? This is a very
Uh,
recent venture.
Yeah, it is a recent venture. See, I'd spent probably the last 7 years working with innovators in the energy space, and a lot about keeping HVAC and cooling systems running efficiently and being energy efficient. You had to deal with things like mold and fungus and bacteria and growth within these systems. And so I had worked with some innovators on solutions that, when COVID-19 came out, I thought, I wonder if these same innovations that we're using for good HVAC hygiene would relate to the issues involved with COVID-19. Very early on, when they first started talking about what this virus was doing, even before it became popular, or not popular but unpopular, I should say, in the united,
Massively unpopular.
in the United States, they were talking a lot about this virus living on surfaces for a long period of time. And so they were spending a lot of time disinfecting surfaces over and over and over, and still not killing this virus, because as soon as that disinfectant dried, that material, that surface, would become recontaminated. And then what do you do about that? And I had known and been working with some solutions in disinfecting, like I said, for the HVAC side. So I called the innovators of those particular products, and I said, have you ever done any studies or any work on the viral side of things? And they said, absolutely, we have. We've done lots of work on the viral side of things. And in fact, we're ahead of the game. We have testing on it that proves its efficacy, to kill viruses. We've just never had a need for this. So we've repurposed great innovation and have gone out to discover new innovation in this personal protection, corporate protection space. And that's why we started PROTECTX International.
Wow, very, very exciting. Well, there's certainly a tremendous need out there. And I hear what you're saying about the disinfectants. We all have experienced this in many, many different ways when we go to the market and you have to stand back while they spray everything again. And very early on, this became a concern for me is what are we doing? Are we causing more problems with the cure that we are implementing, or the quote unquote cure? Because toxicity, as a mom and just as a human, this is something that we all know can be very, very detrimental. So tell us what you have. What is the innovative products that you have?
Well, let me start off about talking about the toxicity because I learned about the toxicity firsthand. I don't know about you, but in the beginning of COVID, I was washing my hands with an antibacterial soap that I pulled out from underneath my cabinet nonstop all day, every day. And my lungs started to bother me
Mhm.
bad to the point that I thought I had COVID. I went to the doctor, got a negative test back. You don't have COVID, you have asthma. I've
Oh
never had
my
asthma
gosh.
in my life. So this continued on for like 2 months. And I was getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And then one day I thought, what is it that I'm doing that's different? And I
Right.
walked, and at this point, I had started studying toxicity levels and disinfectants and all that. I walked over to my sink. I pulled up this soap and I looked at the back of it and it had a product on there called triclosan. I Googled triclosan causes asthma.
Oh my gosh.
And it was so bad, literally, my lungs. I thought, I'm not breathing. I was starting to live with an inhaler. Well, that gave me it gave me a personal mission to go out and figure out how to work with innovation. And we discovered lots of wonderful innovation around this protectant space that is good for being able to use in any environment, whether it's on your crib, in your restaurant, in your office building, in your manufacturing plant, because it's just as important, I think, that you have not only product that helps the people that are in their environment, but you have products that don't hurt the people in your environment. And from a corporate side, on the B2B side, which is where the life I live in, it's so important because now people are looking at, well, how do we mitigate the risk? It's
Exactly.
a risk thing. So in corporate decisions, you have to think about how are you going to protect your people, your employees, your customers, your members at your clubs and things like that. And so what we've done is we've compiled underneath the PROTECTX brand
Hmm.
a plethora of products that we know that without a doubt they're the best in class that we've been able to find that will allow businesses to open back up and work to mitigate the risk of what in the way that they need to, that make their employees and their stakeholders feel comfortable being there and being in that environment. Plus, we wanted to help schools open back up and kindergartens. And then, you think about even moms taking their kids to the grocery store and back. How do I keep this car seat clean all the time? So we've looked at many products. And so we've built solutions around products based on the need. It is not a one size fits all solution. We look at what the situation is and we go, this might be what would be perfect for your situation.
Excellent. That's so exciting. So, in different environments, people seem to have adopted very specific protocols. We all know that there are certain protocols for restaurants and certain protocols for gyms, but all of these um, protocols that have been adopted start with cleaning and disinfecting, right? So maybe we can start talking about that. Do you recommend some type of new protocol, and what do you do? How do you address the need to disinfect?
Okay, so when we talk about disinfectant, we need to look at two things. One, does it work against COVID-19 in this COVID-19 environment?
Hmm.
There are a list of disinfectants on the EPA's website called an N list that lists the various disinfectants that they have approved for COVID-19 and future pathogens. So the disinfectants that we bring to the table all sit on that list. However, every disinfectant is not the same. Some of those disinfectants are very toxic.
Hmm.
Some of them, if you use them over and over again and you sit on them, will literally bleach the bottom of your pants. Is
Oh,
that what you
that
want?
is true.
Oh,
Oh
it's true.
my
And
God.
so it may not be the right thing for every single environment. So when we look at the disinfectants, we want to make sure that they are exactly what that client is looking for. But not only will it work against COVID-19, is it safe for the environment that it's in?
Hmm.
Now, the issue with disinfectants is they are a wet chemical kill.
Hmm.
That's wonderful. They take from anywhere between 30 seconds and 10 minutes sitting on that surface to make sure that that COVID-19 virus is killed. But what happens after the disinfectant dries? Think about, in fact, I had a meeting this week with a big airport group out of the Washington, D.C. area. They said their biggest issue is their escalators.
Yeah.
You'd literally have to have your escalators wet all day because every time anybody put their hand on them, it would recontaminate them. And that's a problem. And also they found that if they keep putting this disinfectant on these escalators, it starts to deteriorate the material on the escalator.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Escalator. So what do? Well, we had found a protectant a long time ago that has testing against viral infections. And in the testing data, it's proved effective. It's been sitting at the EPA now since, well, the beginning of COVID. So let's say since February, waiting on EPA to come forward and give us that coveted claim. But it's not a disinfectant because it's a protectant, so it doesn't fit in that list. We're still hoping that they come forward and say, you can make these claims, you can put them on your label and all of that. We've heard the EPA is so far behind, it could be a 2-year time period. But we're still bringing this protectant to the market because we think this protectant is really important for what to do on your surfaces in between cleanings. And the only thing that we can say about it on the label is that it kills bacteria, funguses, and molds. But we do have third-party testing that shows its efficacy against enveloped viruses, which is what COVID-19 is, as well as non-enveloped viruses, which are a lot more difficult to kill, like the norovirus and so forth. So we are pushing very hard to go ahead and get that approval. But in the meantime, as far as a risk mitigation goes for a company, we feel really confident in our product that, and there's no really other alternative at this point for a long-term disinfection process to protect a surface like those escalator handles in between the disinfecting process. That product we call PROTECTX Pro. So we highly recommend that for what are you going to do in between disinfectings to help mitigate the risk and protect your people. The other product we have
Okay,
that,
can I interrupt you and ask a question about that product first? I'm sorry to be rude, but that is huge. That, what you just shared, is a tremendous game changer, right? Because So as I understand this, what's happening is you are spraying a protectant after a disinfectant has been applied, correct? And then this protectant is continuing, it's kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's really extending the efficacy of that disinfectant because
No, that's not exactly what it does. They don't have an interaction with each other. The
mhm,
disinfectant does its kill, it's done. That surface is not contaminated. What it does is helps keep that surface from recontaminating itself. It's all about the surface in
right,
between cleaning.
cleanings. Hmm.
Let me tell you a little bit about the product and how it works.
Perfect.
It is a spray. We can spray it on, you can wipe it on, and when it dries after about 3 minutes, it literally forms a covalent bond with the material that you've put it on. And it can be both on wovens, fabrics, carpets, and on non-wovens, stainless steel, wood, plastics, rubber, and it will form that covalent bond, meaning it's locked into it molecularly. And what it does, has been put through a reactor, and it makes these little carbon spikes that you can only see through a microscope. And they have a charge attached to them because it's gone through a reactor. And it literally draws the bad guys into itself, whether it's bacteria, virus, or mold or fungus. And it renders that molecule or that virus or um, um, broken. It breaks it up. It tears it up because those spikes puncture it literally. So it's a physical kill. And you don't want to stop cleaning because you want to keep wiping down those surfaces. But this bond will stay on that environment because it's covalent until those spikes become not spiky. And we've literally done testing that prove it will stay on surfaces that are high touch points anywhere from 2 weeks to 30 days, and low touch points over 90 days.
Wow, that's amazing. So it's actually drawing these like microbes to itself, which is interesting because then you're addressing maybe not only the surface but the air around the surface. And apparently we need to be addressing everything, air and surfaces. Um, so it sounds kind of like a Scotch guard, like our idea of how Scotch guard adheres and protects.
Correct. It's very, very similar, and that's how it behaves. In fact, in the automotive industry for 15 to 20 years, it's being used in carpets and on, especially in environments where they're bringing in used cars and they're refurbishing them and getting them back out. It's being used in that industry. Like I'd said, it's been used in the HVAC industry to stop building of molds and funguses on coils and fins. We
Right.
that it will attract microbes to that. So in your office environment for the protection of your airborne microbes, you're exactly right. It'll help if you put it in your fins and coils. It'll also help protect those airborne and in your filters, those airborne microbes that are coming through that particular thing. So
That
we're
is
using it
so, it's
inside.
so powerful. So what are some types of businesses or facilities that you've worked with for this particular product?
One of the biggest users of this at this point are people that own gyms. I mean, if you think about it, you're handling a lot of equipment. There's a lot of people coming in and out. You are trusting them to wipe down whatever they're using after they're and disinfect. But this is what will help protect those environments between, good cleaning and disinfecting in between. It's also being used in restaurants. It's safe on non-contact food surfaces. It's being used in office buildings. We actually have a client who are the largest law firm, and one of the largest in the United States. So you can bet They did their due diligence
Yeah.
and used in manufacturing plants. In fact, a major pharmaceutical company is using it for where their employees are. Oh my goodness. It's being used in athletic facilities for use where people are changing clothes. It's been used for a very long time, even prior to this, in wet areas of spas and service stations where there are showers and things like that. It's been being used in those environments for a very long time. It's been used quite a bit just in the general facilities in areas of the world where there's lots of mold and wet issues, because it will stop mold from growing for 90 days, period. Will not grow on those surfaces where this has been put and dried on there. So it has many, many uses, not only now as part of your protocol if you're a facilities manager, but in the long term, anyone would love this product. And it's been around for 30 years. It was invented a long time ago,
Yeah.
and it's not been kind of purpose for these reasons why we're using it now.
Yeah, remarkable. It seems like there's no environment that it would not benefit, especially when you commented that it can be used on any surface, including soft surfaces and fabrics.
Yes.
So, what is the next? And I might come back to some questions about this later, but what is the next product that you are bringing to market, or that you are kind of presenting as a new protocol?
Well, sort of in our combination, we have two disinfectants that we recommend. One is a very high level, does everything disinfectant with very low toxicity, and is on the EPA N list for. It's called Fresh Start, and it's on the EPA N list for future pathogens. And then we have another one that is very interesting, that we think is probably better for things like small salons and at home. We're getting ready to take it out on the retail market. It's an eco clean system, and I wish I had the bottle here. We'll do this another time, but it's
Yes.
literally a cartridge that's about this big that fits inside of your bottle, where you have water and you can shake it up and use it in your facility. And it is environmentally friendly because we're not selling plastic bottles that are going to be filling our landfills later. And it's on the N list, and it has been used in the past in janitorial settings, but we're repurposing it for at-home use and in small business settings where you don't use outside janitorial services, but you're cleaning your own environment like a lot of beauty salons are doing. And a
I
lot of
love this. Yes, that is such a great idea. And again, the toxicity issue is huge. And this makes it so much more accessible, because you see all the pictures of the giant sprayers and the backpacks, and people are all covered up in their personal protective equipment. So this seems just more user friendly for the really small businesses or people at home, just the average person.
It is. It's wonderful. And if I could take you and show you underneath my sink at all the different chemicals that I have under there, and you open the door and the bottles just start falling out.
Yeah,
This
that's
to eliminate
terrifying.
that, because we're going to be down to 3 bottles. There's the bottle that's the cleaner that we have that also has a little cartridge, a glass cleaner that we have that has a little cartridge, and then our disinfectant with a little tiny cartridge. So what happens, you use them, you run out of it, you have a little packet of cartridges. Think of it like a razor blade
Yeah.
pack. You just pop that cartridge in and you're good to go again. And so I've gone from all these bottles of all this stuff to 3 little bottles and a few little cartridges that I can put in them to replenish them. And the beauty of it, not only is that I'm not polluting, I'm not taking all this space up, is that the the refill on those cartridges are getting us down to a very inexpensive price. So you're going to save money overall also during your disinfecting process. I can't tell you how many business leaders, small business owners are like, this is so
Yeah,
expensive. And it's,
wonderful. No
they're
more
getting,
Clorox wipes, and I mean, not to slam Clorox or anything, but that kind of toxicity is terrifying, and it's happening everywhere.
well, it's just important that we start thinking about these things, because
Mhm.
if we sit months and months and months in these environments that are all with all this disinfectant, then it's going to have an impact that
Yep,
we are not might not be thinking about, that's bigger than, or could be a bigger impact from a risk standpoint than the virus itself. So you have to think about all these things.
absolutely. Well, it's wonderful that you have thought this through and are providing these products and opportunities for businesses. So, tell me a little bit about, you mentioned glass cleaner. So, that leads me to think about all of the screens that we're on, our phones, our computers, our keyboards. Can you use this product on these surfaces?
To be truthful, we have a new innovation that's called PROTECTX Pure 21. Well, I was going to tell you about that.
Okay.
It's invented by these very cool techno geeks from Motorola who
Wow.
are, who have left Motorola. They're engineers. They're very smart, and it's a surface cleaner and sanitizer that will keep your phone sanitized for up to 21 days. It is a
Oh my gosh.
zinc technology. It has been approved by the NSF, which I think is the National Sanitization Foundation. It's a private organization. So clean that you could eat off your phone, but you probably don't want to do that. That's probably not cool, but it is fantastic. We have just started putting together the packaging for that. We're going to be rolling that out in the next month, and it is perfect. It is made specifically for tech equipment, your screens, your keyboards, your headphones, anything that you are going to be using and handling. You know, they say your phone's the nastiest of all things because you're touching it all the time. Well, this at least will give you a 21-day sanitization on that particular, on your phone while you're using
Wow,
it.
Carol, so you really are being very innovative. This is really exciting.
It is. I'll tell you one more product, well, before we get off of it, that I think is really important for commercial people. It kind of fits along with what we were talking about, the PROTECTX Pro. It's
Mm-hmm.
called Pure Gloves. It is an FDA registered hand sanitizer with the PROTECTX molecule in it. And
Wow.
we had third-party testing that show its efficacy on your hands for either 8 hours or 10 hand washings. Now, why is that important? You constantly are putting your hands under sanitization stations, a lot of them alcohol based. It's cracking your skin and all of that. This is a non-alcohol based FDA approved hand sanitizer. You're putting it under there, and you can pretty much guess that anything that you might touch along the way may have contaminated surfaces, not just for COVID, but we're moving into the flu season.
Mm-hmm.
People have bad colds. Well, you can put this on your hands, and it will protect your hands in those environments for up to 10 hand washings. It comes off when your skin comes off, basically, as you wash your hands. But we think about kids going into school for an 8-hour period,
Exactly.
or yes, or office employees coming into work and they accidentally, God forbid, shake hands with someone, right?
Yes.
Get back to shaking hands. But that's another product that I think is really important in this marketplace as you think about people who are shopping in your stores or your employees at work. and all
Is
of and
this
all of that.
non-toxic as well? I mean, there are all over the news, the dangers of different hand sanitizers, right? It's exploding in people's cars. There's all kinds of toxicity involved. So I'm assuming this is,
No, this is not. Those hand sanitizers that you're hearing about in the news have been imported from
mhm,
other countries, and they may have methanol in them or some things in them under the guise that they are under the FDA approved alcohol based hand
right.
sanitizers. No, this is a US made product. It is one of 3 products that are actually approved by the FDA to put hand sanitizer on its label. And so it's very important to know that it is not toxic, because the FDA just went through, prior to COVID, a big pull off the shelf hand sanitizer uh, project.
Yeah.
One of the products they took off the shelf was the triclosan, which is what I was telling you about earlier. That
Oh, wow.
sanitizer making people not well, right?
Yeah, that's
So
crazy.
FDA is looking at all these things, and they always want to make sure that whatever you put on your body is safe. So
Hmm. Well, the non-toxic effort that you are involved in here is tremendous because although admittedly I've never licked my phone, we know that children have all types of media, now they have all kinds of things even for babies and screens and toys and all of the things that it goes immediately into their mouth, right? So I was thinking about that when you were talking, protecting those surfaces for children. And again, their hands are in their mouths as well. So um, this seems to cover so many bases that are just from breathing to touching each other and to touching every surface.
what's exciting about it is there's even more products that we are pulling up under our umbrella to bring as part of the solutions package.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting about it for me, our goal at PROTECTX is to take the guesswork out of the hands of someone who's not studying this all the time. So when we bring the tech product to the market, we've looked at everything to make sure we're bringing the best tech product to the market. And we look at a vertical like pre-K or babies and what they have and what they're doing. We're going to make sure that everything that we bring to the market underneath the PROTECTX pre-K or baby umbrella in that vertical, that it will be the best in class for whatever that mom or that nursery school teacher is going to use in that place. And that's what's important, is to educate ourselves first, but then help to educate the people who want to know. They want to know. I want to know my business is as safe as it can possibly be. I want to know my children are as safe as they possibly can be. I want to make sure that when I'm in any environment, that those people where I'm shopping are doing everything for me that is as safe as it can be. And that's what we're trying to do at PROTECTX, is to take all that guesswork away. And here's the thing, there's a lot of businesses out there that go, oh, I've already got my janitorial service. I don't really need anything else. Maybe, maybe not. And it's not that we would come in and say, oh, you have to do what we're doing. We would say, well, what are you doing? And how are you mitigating this risk? And they might say, well, we're not. Well, in that case, we have a solution for you. I'll go back to the airport environment. These airports have been cleaned for years.
Yes.
Now what they've done is just beefed up the protocol by cleaning more and more and more and more and
Right.
more. Yet they still have places in the airport where that cleaning is just not making that solution come forward for them, that they can do it. It may be that we come in and we go, well, a UV lighting system in this location might be your best thing, or this is. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to partner with people, look at their budget, can't go out of business buying all this stuff, right?
Exactly, right.
Their budget, we look at who their their loved ones are, their clients, their children, their members, what's going to make the most sense to them. We help them develop the protocol that's within the state regulation. We know that they have to deal by whatever the state is doing. And then the most important part is letting people know how we're helping them. And we do that by helping them educate the people that are most important to them. How do I educate my employees about what I'm doing so my employees aren't scared to death to come to work? Or how do I educate my customers that when they walk in this room, I've done everything possible to make sure that they're protected in this environment? Think about a dental office. What are you doing in that dental office to help protect them? And you can't go out of business, trying to put things in place that are so expensive that you can't. So we look at all of it. It's a whole pie. You have to look at the entire picture and then work with them to put together the solutions that are going to be beneficial to them and not break the bank doing that. And that's what's really important. You have to be practical as business people too. It's very exciting to be working on this. And what's even more exciting is the things that we have coming, the things that we know are just phenomenal, that in some environments are just going to make a massive difference. And then to think about that out of our profits, literally 10% go back to give these products into places like homeless shelters or third world environments that, they need to be spending their money on something else. Well, we're happy to contribute to that. So it's a win-win-win for everyone.
Yes. So, Carol, I love what you're saying about education, and I might have to jump up and plug my computer in. I'm so sorry. I seem to be running out of battery. But I love your heart. I love your mission. I love the products and the thought and the deep caring that obviously has gone into this. And education is just a huge part of this, because there's so much fear in the world right now. And the thing that can break through fear, of course, is understanding and educating yourself. And I know that I was talking to an environmental person who does testing, and he was sharing how a lot of cleaning protocols are simply moving viruses from one area to another. So when you're going like this, you're not really doing what you think you're doing. And this seems to be that added layer of protection that would avoid. I mean, the thing is, once you understand what you're dealing with, you can make cost-effective decisions and understand, like, is this really where I want to put my money, or what makes sense. But I agree, everyone is dealing with the financial issue at this time too.
Well, and I think part of our goal in the education process is to take the fear out of it, right?
Yes.
Make sure that we are letting people know the truth. There is so much out there of untruth where you are hearing things and we heard this and we heard that, and there's mom and pop operations that are popping up all over the place making all kinds of claims and all of that. And I think people just want to hear the truth. They want to hear, is this going to work?
Absolutely.
Up
And you
until
have
this
such
day,
a solid foundation. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, up until this day, did you ever examine everything at the
Never.
bottom level? Never, ever, ever.
Never. No.
Ever. And as a mom, I mean, you walk into a grocery store or one of the big, like a Home Depot, and it's overwhelming. There is so much to choose from in there.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know the difference between cleaning, sanitizing, disinfecting, and protecting.
Right.
I didn't realized there were things that did all of those different things, but not many things that do all of those things. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? And I'm just like,
It's
what?
massively overwhelming. And there, again, there's so much fear. And underlying all of the products, I really resonate with what you're saying. And I so appreciate how much you care, because this really is about helping people feel safe so they can continue to do business with these businesses, so that the businesses don't go out of business. And I mean, everything is connected to everything else. And it's absolutely crazy when you start looking at the effect, the trickle down effect of everything, right? So, in terms of toxicity, it makes a huge difference to everyone. And I think people are becoming more and more educated. Initially, they just wanted to jump in and do something, anything, tell me what to do, right? And now they're able to take that time and become more educated and see the results of, what was potentially a mistake. So it's
Right.
wonderful that you have all these products. And I know we'll be meeting regularly so that we can showcase each product individually and talk about the new things that you have coming out as well.
Oh, it's great. It's
Yeah.
great. I so appreciate this time. You can tell I'm passionate about this.
I know. I love it. Yes, I can. It's very obvious.
Well,
And
here's the thing. I am an entrepreneur. I'm a woman-owned small business, and I I want to do everything I can to help people thrive, to be safe, to thrive, to be able to make a great living, to feed their family, to be protected, hence PROTECTX. Not only here in the United States, but all over the world. We all need to take a look at what we can do to bring new things to market. And I think it's so important. And this is just one of, like I said, I'm not only looking at health, but we're looking at food, we're looking at water, we're looking at electricity and energy efficiency, and we're looking at housing. And at raise. And I think all of it is important because all of us, if you think about it, I don't care what culture you come from. I don't care what religion you come from. I don't care what race you come from. All of us want our families to be prosperous, our families to be safe and healthy, and our families to be happy. And so if you can help them in any way in any of these areas by making life a little bit sweeter through innovation that is reasonable in terms of business, and it makes sense in terms of how you use it in your household or in your businesses or in your schools or your places of worship, then you're going to make society at large a better place. And I think that's what we need to be focused on. I think that's what everybody needs to be focused on. I mean, without thinking about, is it going to make sense to my business, or is this going to help or hurt my child? You're not thinking through things. And so I love it. I love it. And I'm so excited to tell people about it and to talk to people about it. And if there's any way I can help somebody's business stay in business and keep an outbreak from happening at their place of business, I'm going to do it, because I can't even imagine how stressed I would be right now if I couldn't open the doors of my business.
yes.
And I feel for them. And I want to see people get back to normal. And I want us to conquer this thing. That's it.
I agree 100%. I mean, what a great conversation, and so appreciate your business and who you are. And again, this is the best of business with a purpose and a heart and a practical application that is absolutely life-changing for everyone. There's no one that this won't touch. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It's just wonderful to hear your message, and we're going to be doing everything we can to get this message out there. And we'll have all of the contact information here for everyone. So thank you, Carol. I look forward to our next time together.
Thank you. I sure have enjoyed our time.
Yeah, me too. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.